The big change here this morning, Daniel, because it's really been getting warmer, and then all of a sudden Friday hits.
Yeah, and now you might need a jacket if you're outside. I know you looked at me when I walked in, I had my jacket, and you're like, is it time for that?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, is his jacket on? Is he going outside somewhere? What's going on here? Yeah, so just kind of a different for us, but we are going to have a warmer weekend still, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely. So the afternoons you won't need it, but for this morning, it's going to be kind of, if you want it, take it. If you don't, you'll probably be just fine because temperatures are going to be warming up pretty quickly. A handful of spots down in the upper 40s around Tucson. You see the Air Force Base sitting right there at 49 degrees, but compare that to the airport, they're sitting at 57. That's not too dissimilar from what we had yesterday morning. So it just kind of depends on what part of town you're waking up on if you're going to need that jacket or not for your day. All right, so for Nogales, I do think you're going to need a jacket down there with the way things are stacking up so far, about 51 for you. You have Tombstone and Wilcox down into the mid 40s, definitely jacket weather, but for everyone this afternoon, it's going to be great because you're going to be in the upper 70s, have lots of sunshine. It's still going to be breezy at times, as we'll talk about here in just a second, but otherwise, really great conditions for your day today. Now, outside of the city of Tucson, mid 70s for Ajo and Sells. You have Nogales right there at about 72 for their high temperature, and a couple spots staying down near the 60s, but there's also going to be Douglas. They tend to be a little bit drier, which is why their temperatures get so warm during the afternoon and at the same time get so cold during the overnight hours. And even for tomorrow morning, I do think it's going to be colder than what we have right now. Upper 40s for a lot of us around town, potentially even mid 40s for a few isolated spots. But if you're over there in Cochise County, the areas I think have the best chance to get down into the 30s, Benson and Wilcox. I think if you're anywhere else, the low 40s is going to be where you're stopping for early tomorrow. But I don't think that's really going to change your opinion on what kind of jacket you want if you're going to be outdoors for Saturday. I would recommend one for that day, but keep in mind, we're going to be right back into the mid 80s for the highs tomorrow. The dry air is going to be here, which is why we're going to see such a big swing in those temperatures. And this is something else I want you to keep an eye on today. Is going to be the winds, because we are likely going to be seeing those wind gusts between 20 and 25 miles per hour, especially if you're right there along the border with a spot like Mexico. You are also going to have some stronger winds for Tucson. I think the strongest gust we see will come around 2 to 4 o'clock. It'll be around 20 miles per hour. Now keep in mind, last night we did see those wind gusts that were around about 25, even 35 miles per hour. Later in the day, don't really see a whole lot of that for later on. All right, so what we have going on now is low pressure that's still in the process of slowly passing us by. And once it does, high pressure is going to come right back in. Now that's going to be what warms us up here. We are going to be looking at some fantastic conditions. In fact, over the next few days for you, 78 for today, 84 for Saturday, and then for Sunday, 90 degrees. So it is going to be warm, and it's going to be staying that way for a couple days after that. So 92 on Monday. About half of us are going to be in the upper 80s for Tuesday. And then as we get in the middle of next week, I do think the temperatures are going to come down just a little bit, at least for the afternoon hours. Well, that was weather. Let's go ahead and talk about traffic before you head on outside.